Hey, this is Rich over at TVP Live with another quick tips tutorials brought to you by Adobe Photoshop Custom Tutorials group on Facebook and YouTube. And let's go to this poster's photo here. Wonderful photo of this little soccer player to be. And we want to get rid of mom's arm here. Now we're not using Photoshop. We're using Photoshop's little brother called Photoshop Elements. Consider it as Photoshop Lite. It's much easier to use with much more friendly tools. Now let's get started. Now there's one tool here called the stamp tool, which in the past we might want to consider using that. And what you want to do here is open up the tools bin and grab a soft brush here. This is at 50 points. That's a good size. And I'm going to take a snapshot of this portion right here. Hold the Alt and hit the left mouse button. And it will basically copy that area as I draw somewhere else. I'm going to open up a new layer and draw somewhere else. Now the problem with this is that it's the wrong angle. So you see it kind of works, but it's kind of at a slightly slanted angle. So what I might want to do is take that layer. I can turn off the bottom layer and you can see that's its own layer. And I can turn it a little bit like this, and that gives it a little bit more of the right angle. See that? But the problem I'm having now is that there's a lot more to attach on the top and the bottom that makes it look odd. So I'm going to delete that layer and start all over with a different technique. I'm actually going to just borrow a large portion of this. I'm going to take the polygon tool. Here's the polygon lasso. I'm going to take the freehand lasso tool. I'm just going to grab a large portion down here like this, including part of the pole. And this will allow me to take that portion, right click, and make a copy. That opens up a whole new layer. If I turn off the back layer, there's our whole new layer. I'm going to turn it around because the angle on this portion of the photo is opposite. This is going from bottom left to upper right. This up here is kind of like bottom right to upper left. So I'll take that portion here and go to Image, Rotate, and Horizontally. Now it's obviously rotated too much, so I can grab the rotate tool down here and rotate it back a little bit vertical. So it looks a little bit more like this vertical piece is over here. That's looking pretty good. And all I got to do is just kind of position it over here somewhere where it looks kind of natural around there. So we like this kind of where it's at, but now we got to get rid of all the stuff that we don't need. So I'm going to take the opacity of that layer and make that 50%. I can just highlight this and type in 50. That allows me to align this a lot better. So I can kind of align this so it sort of matches what's underneath. It doesn't have to be that close because we're replacing pretty much what's underneath. And we like that right around there. Now what we can do is erase everything that we don't need. So I'm going to grab the eraser. We got a brush here. We got all different styles of brushes. At the top are hard brushes. As you scroll down, we got soft brushes. So let's get a small soft brush. That looks pretty good. Let's zoom in a little bit and get rid of a portion of this up to the pole there, the original. See if I toggle this, you can see what we need to get rid of. So I'll take that eraser and I'm going to start from right here. I'm going to tap, hold the shift, and tap at the pole down here. And that got rid of the portion in front of the edge of the pole. If I scroll down, now I want to get rid of the portion here along the child's head and come all the way down to his neck. We want to leave his shoulder and leave his arm in. So we just carefully erase around that and then come down all the way to his body and his legs. And let's keep the blanket all the way up to here. Now we can go to the right side and we can get everything up to this pole. I can just do it on the edge here because we're going to redraw the pole anyway. So I can click, shift, click, and click, shift, click. We're going to redraw the pole and have it come down. Now let's get rid of the rest of those sides by bringing the opacity back up to 100. Let's turn off the back layer so now we can see exactly what we don't need. I'll go ahead and grab the polygon tool. This time, instead of the lasso, I'll use the polygon lasso. This allows us to click and make little clicks like this. See that? I can click, 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 and it's a series of lines that I'm drawing. And I just basically do this and circle what I don't want, double click. You see the marching ants, hit delete. That deletes that whole portion. Now we do the same thing over here. And I'll come to the top, to encompass the whole piece there, hit delete, And now we're just left with the piece that we want to keep. I'll toggle this back and forth a little bit and bring it down to 50%. And I think what we can do is literally just get rid of everything down here like this, because we don't need anything above that. And now the grass is kind of back to where it was supposed to be. Bring the opacity back up to 100. Tap this a little bit right around there. And if you have a portion here that doesn't match, you can always take a smudge brush, and let's make that small, like a 20 point. And we just kind of smudge this over like that. See that? Easy peasy. Next, let's get rid of everything up on the top. Once again, we're going to use the smudge brush, but let's bring that back up to a 50 point soft brush. And we're just going to come down to the original layer, and we could just brush this out like this. We could do the same thing with the grass portion here, but since I don't want it to affect the pole, I can always protect the pole. I'll take the polygon tool and protect the pole like this. Double click, that makes a square, so anywhere I brush is not going to go beyond that square. Grab the smudge brush and just smudge it out. And luckily everything is all blurry back there, so it doesn't really matter until it's all out. And we hit Control D to deselect, and that's looking pretty good. Now the last portion we need to do is just fix the pole. I'm going to turn off that top piece so I can grab a portion of this pole here. This time I'm going to use the rectangle tool, and I could just copy a portion of the pole from here to here like this, and I'll hit right click and hit copy. And once I copy, all I got to do is just stretch the pole all the way down to the bottom like this. And finally, we just take the eraser and erase from there to here, everything beyond the pole that we don't want, and bring the opacity back up to 100%. Let's turn on that portion over here that we fixed, and that's looking pretty good. I think all we need to do is just fix the grass down here where it kind of is green and it kind of slants down this way. And this one's pretty easy. All we got to do is come up here, open up a new layer, grab the clone stamp tool, and we're going to keep stamping this over here. And we can stamp a little beyond and then fix it afterwards. I'll show you what I mean. Let's do like a 70 point nice big clone stamp. I'm going to grab this portion right here that has the dark and the light. Hold the Alt, left click, bring that over here, and keep on doing that. Keep on grabbing this and snapping it over there. And then come down here a little bit lower, and then come down a little lower, and then come down even lower. And then once we got that done, we just toggle this back and forth to make sure that everything is covered up that we need. Once again, as usual, take the opacity down to 50%, and take the eraser. Let's make this a really small, like a 6 point, and now we just draw out where the net is. I'm going to click here, to here, to here, to here. Once we got that drawn out, we can bring the opacity back up to 100%. And look at that. You can see the net right through it. And if it's a little harsh, I can always make this like 90%. See, it doesn't have to be 100%. Now, I forgot to soften up the pole, the edge of the pole here. That's this layer. See, it's kind of harsh right there, so all I got to do is grab the eraser again, go to like huge 100 points, and just tap it there. Boom, boom. And there we go. That's pretty much it, how we fixed this photo. Now it's looking really great without a person's arm in there. Well, this is Rich calling it quits for this tutorial, saying over and out.